Hello, my YouTube family and friends. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out there. And I do pray that if you have experienced the loss of a mother, I pray God's peace over you today, His strength, His love, His joy as well. I'm out and about, y'all. I got a testimony to share later, so I'm going to hop back on and do that once I get settled and everything, but I'll be back. Hello, my YouTube family and friends. I pray that everyone is having a beautiful, blessed Mother's Day. If you're a mother, and if you have experienced the loss of a mother, I'm praying for you today as well, that God will give you comfort and He will just be everything that you will need Him to be in this day and in many other days that He allows you to live. But if you have not said it already, let's say it together. Thank you, Jesus, for another day. It is indeed a blessing to be alive, y'all. And I wanted to just, y'all, I got a testimony on Mother's Day of 2025. So let me go back. I gotta make sure I don't miss nothing, because the enemy lost again. But so I was out and about, and I haven't uploaded that video from yesterday, but I was out and about yesterday, doing my little weekend errands, Saturday errands, and I didn't grocery shop and stuff yesterday because I was like, well, I want to just do some stuff for myself, which I don't do that anymore like I used to once did. But I was like, I just sort of just did what I wanted to do yesterday. I got a real early start, and then it went on like that. But anyway, this car, it was running fine, when I parked it yesterday. But my oldest daughter said, Mom said, because I had sent her back out here to the car to get, the last little things out of the car. And she was like, she said, Mom said, the car won't unlock. She had the keys and everything. And I said, And so I came back out here, went back out to look at the car and, or to try to figure out what was going on. And I couldn't make, and it wouldn't open for me either. And I was like, that's weird. And so, like how I am, y'all, I don't, it was sort of late yesterday, not late, but it was maybe almost 5 or so. And I was sort of hungry and, just a little tired from driving around and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe it's just a fluke or whatever. So I had told my youngest son, I said, when you get a chance, go out there and check, see what's going on with the car. And so he didn't get a chance, or he didn't go out there. Cause like I said, we just we deal with stuff when we have to, it's like, okay, but I knew I had to get up and go to church this morning. I should have maybe looked into it a little more, but God worked everything out like He always do. So we get up this morning, and I had one thing, I greet at the church, of course. I've shared it with y'all. And I was just so full of joy, which I'm always full of joy every day I wake up. But just really full of joy this morning, because I was like, it's Mother's Day, and I'm going to be greeting all the mothers and telling them happy mother. Just loving. That's my highlight of Sundays, is doing that, so I can encourage and love on somebody else. And so, no matter what I've gone through, I want to give them some love. And I didn't, of course, I didn't get a chance to do that today, but it's okay. God gonna double it, triple it up for me next Sunday. But anyway, so I had dozed off to sleep. I set my alarm like I always do, and I dozed back off to sleep. And I woke up and it was like 10 after 7, I think. Now, normally I had set the alarm for 6:30, which gives me like an hour, sort of almost close to an hour to get ready, because where we live like 25 minutes out from the church, whereas we used to be just 5 minutes. But so anyway, I always, on Sunday I'll be sort of rushing, but we got ready and everything. So we was walking out the door at like 7:45, I think. It was like, I think it was 7:45 and or something like that. And then I told my daughter, I said, come on, we already running a little late, because we should be there by 8. But we can be there a little, I can be there just a little bit later, if it's just a little after 8, because, we're greeting from 8 to 8:45. So anyway, we got that, walked down the steps to get to the car, and the car, one big red flag, the car went in, with the, normally when I get right close to it, it unlocks. And I was like, what's going on? So I was like, oh yeah. So I took the key out the key fob, you know, the actual key, and I unlocked the door. So I sort of was kind of expecting an alarm to go off, because sometimes, you know, cars do that. If you do, you know, sometimes they do that. But it didn't do that. And I was like, what? You know, why are the mirrors were still folded down? But it was giving no battery. It was giving me no charge in the car. No, you know, juice was going on in the car. And so I was like, well, and so I opened it, you know, like I said, I opened the car with the key and let my daughter in the car. And then we get in the car, and I'm still thinking that, you know, the car just gonna miraculously come on, and it did. And so I said, well, you know, maybe, you know, because me and my I sort of thought that last night it was the battery, but I was like, well, how did the battery go down that quick? Or, you know, if it was giving me a little sign, it would have been on yesterday. Now, mind you, yesterday when I was driving this car, I felt like something ain't right. You know, I wasn't driving all the way right, but I was just like, you know, when I put gas in it, more gas in it, you know, it was okay. And to my knowledge, because I don't know a lot about cars, but I know something because my stepfather, he had a car detail shop, so I learned a lot of stuff from him. But anyway, so we was in the car, and we, you know, like I said, I'm put my Bible in the back and a little notebook. I'm ready, y'all. And the car would not cut on, and I was like, okay. So we proceeded to get out the car, went back in the house, and my youngest son, he comes out the house. I said, go take a look, because I'm not for sure what's going on. So anyway, come to find out, he ordered, we didn't have any jumper cables, and so he ordered, you know, we got those delivered, and then he jumped it off. The car came right on. So he's like, yeah, Mom, it's the battery. And so I said, okay. So he said, well, so I just sat in my room on the bed, because I was like, oh man, you know, and I'm looking at what time it was then. I think it was like 15 to 9 or something like that. And I was like, well, looks like I ain't gonna be able to go to church. And y'all, all I'm thinking about, not only missing church, but I'm thinking about, I ain't gonna get a chance to love on nobody today, you know, greet nobody. And I just so enjoy doing that. I so enjoy that. Pouring into somebody like as God has poured into me. But anyway, I sort of was a little disappointed about that, but I said, it's okay. And so I said, well, I got my remote in my hand. I said, I'm just gonna I'll just watch it online, you know, because we had 2 services on Sunday. I said, I'll just watch it online, and, you know, I was going to give me something to eat or whatever. And then my youngest son, he said, Mama, he said, you still got time to get there, because the early service is not over to 10:45, and or about 10:30 or so. And he said, you still got time? He said, you can still go. He said, what I'll do, he said, I'll trail you, and I'll trail y'all. And he said, you just don't cut the car off. And he said, I'll trail you, and I'll just take the car on while y'all at church. Because he was planning, of course, he's going to come to church with us today. But it just didn't work out that way, because he needed to help me get the car situated. So he said, I'm just going to, you know, y'all go park, you know, get your parking space. And he said, I'm right behind you, and I will just keep the car on. Don't cut it off, because it won't start back up. And he said, I'll just take the car while you're at church to get the battery, and, you know, it'll be good. I said, yeah, that's a good idea, son. So he always helped me, y'all, because sometimes I wasn't frustrated, but I was just like, it was just all out of sorts, because it didn't make sense to me. The car was running fine yesterday. But I know with these cars, you know, sometimes things like that happen. I understand that. But anyway, it was okay. And so we did just that while we was at church. And so he was texting me, you know, let me know what was going on. And he said, Mom, it was the battery. And I mean, while we was at church, he went and he asked the people at AutoZone or wherever he went, and they told him, they said, yeah, we think that's what it is. And so we had a little glitch with me sending him the money, because the pen or something was going on. It was just a lot, y'all. But finally it went through to him, the money. And no, it didn't. So they go to end him again. And so I said, well, we ended up having to leave church just maybe 10-15 minutes early, you I was able to hear the message though. But and the message, y'all, was God keeps his promises. Oh yes, he does. So he is a man that cannot lie. He will not lie. Everything he told us, he gonna do it, and he gonna do it in his perfect timing. But I said, ooh, I needed to hear that. The enemy didn't want me to hear that message. But anyway, it was a good one, y'all. But I always like to, stay for the singing or worship at the end, and we had to leave because he was at the place. My youngest son was at the place, and the pen wouldn't go through, so he couldn't get the money, to pay for the battery. So it was holding him up, holding things up or whatever. So I was like, well, just so he left the all this. We gotta keep the car on. Can't turn the car off because we won't start back up, and so we have to get a boost again. So he came on back to church and got us, and in his car, and then we were able to go on and get everything taken care of. And it was $200, but it was okay because the Lord gave me. I had that to pay for that, so that was a blessing. That was a blessing that I had it. So I'm thankful for that. And so, but anyway, we paid for the battery, and the guy. Oh yeah, this was the other thing. So the young guy who was helping us, the cashier, he was like, I said, do you have anyone to put the battery? He put out the battery in for us, and he said, yeah. He said, but he won't get here until noon. And now at this time, y'all, it was like 10:43 or something. And I was like, oh man. So we went to, I forget the place, I think we went to Advanced Auto Parts, but the AutoZone's across the street. And my son had already went there prior to that Advanced Auto Parts, but he said, Mama, I don't want to go back over there because they was just really busy. And so it was hard, it was nobody at that Advanced Auto Parts. So anyway, my son said, Mom, it's okay. So you can just go home, go back home. He was telling me and my daughter we can go back home, and he was going to trail us back to the house, because we had already paid for the battery. And he said, we put the battery in the back seat, and he said, I'll just trail y'all back to the house, the condo, and then we'll keep this car on, and then he said, I'll just take the car back so the battery can get installed. I said, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So that's what we did. And they got, wasted time. I stopped a few places without cutting the car off. Don't cut the car off. And so he said, Mom, please don't cut the car off, because please don't do that. So I said, I'm not gonna do it. So force a habit. He parked, he quit the car. But anyway, I didn't cut it off, y'all. I did good. And so he came and got the car. He trailed us back to the house, came and got the car. The rest is history. We got the car back running again. But it was the battery. But y'all, in that testimony part right there, but I want to go back because I want to share with you how I was telling one of the men that he's over the greeters. He's sort of like the leader of the greeters, but at the church. But I was able to see him because he waved at me, and I know he was like, and I wasn't really trying to make, I wasn't trying to, but I like for people to know, I like for people to know what, some people don't care. They like, I don't care what they think. But I wanted him to know, because in this season I'm in, I like being honest, and I don't want people thinking I'm just, freelancing around, just doing whatever and not doing what I should do. Because, he gets there early, and I guess he was like, okay, why I see her just not getting to church? And, he know I'm normally there. But I shared with him what happened, and he was like, wow. He said, my sister, he said, God is he's working on you. He's making you into who he has for you to be. I said, yeah, he is. I said, because back in the day, I said, this little incident right here, I said, it would have ruined my whole day. I said, I would have just been out of sorts. Not only out of sorts, but I would have been acting crazy to everybody. I would have been acting mean to everybody. I would have, wouldn't have wanted to really talk to nobody. Just would have been mad. I would have been mad. It would have affected me like that, because one, I didn't have a relationship with Jesus, and two, I would have allowed it to aggravate me in that way that I couldn't have seen past that. Instead of me rejoicing that, okay, I got a way to get the car fixed, but things didn't go my way. that's what I'm getting at. You know, don't allow your situation, or you know, when something go wrong in your life, don't allow that to overtake you. Don't allow that to cause you to be mad at nobody or to be angry. Just take it all in stride and say, I still got joy. And my youngest daughter, she texted me Happy Mother's Day, and I told her, you know, I don't like to tell her when stuff going wrong, because she, you know, she's sort of like, oh, you know, but I don't, you know, she got a real, she like me, she don't like to hear when something wrong. So I try to shield her from that, you know, even though, you know, she's 18, but I try not to let her know if anything going wrong, especially because I already been taken care of. But she like to know stuff too. But I told her what happened, and I said I did. I told her, I said Mama still got joy, and I do. And the enemy lost again. That's what I mean by that. He wanted me not to go to church. He wanted me to be super upset about what happened now. And you know, and God's still working on me about that, because I haven't arrived yet. None of us ever will down here, but you know, he's making us better. He's making us, allowing us to handle situations a whole lot better than what we once did, and that equals growth. To me, that's a sign of growth. You know, when you no longer allow your circumstances to dictate, you know, how you treat other people, or how you even treat yourself, you know. So that's a sign of growth. But I thank the Lord. I thank the Lord for this car. I thank the Lord for His grace and His mercy. They new every day. I thank Him for keeping me when I couldn't even keep myself. And it's a blessing to even be alive. And y'all, I was so excited. I was so excited about today. And I still am. But, you know, even in all of our excitement, even in all of our, joy down in my heart, you know, things, you know, life happens, you know, and, but I'm saying about the enemy is because, you know, I feel like, you know, I'm like, and it could have just been, you know, a lot of times we do blame the enemy, blame him for stuff, and it's just life, you know. Maybe the battery was just old, but still, you know, I'm saying that because, you know, we have to be able to call the enemy out. You know, a lot of times he is doing stuff, you know. Maybe this time he didn't. Maybe he didn't. But he still don't get no slack, because he still be doing stuff. He still do his little mess. But and if he did it or not, it don't matter. It's been taken care of. But God fixed the situation. It's fixed. So I'm thankful for that. But me and the older gentleman, like I said, we were witnessing to each other, and he said God's still working on him too. And I said, yeah, he's working on all of us. I said, but you know, the beauty of it all, I said, is that we recognize that we need to be worked on, you know, and stuff like that. But that's what he was saying. He said, well, you made it. I said, I did. And then I saw two other people who I normally see when I'm greeting, husband and wife, and she came over to me, y'all, and cause I was like, where did she come from? But she came over to me, and she asked me, did I have any pain medicine? And normally I gotta start back doing that. I normally keep my pain medicine in my purse, but I didn't have it today. I didn't put it back in my purse, and so because the last time I needed it, I took it out my purse and I didn't put it back. But I told her, I said, I told her, I said, I don't think I brought it with me. I said, but I'm gonna check anyway. And she said, okay. So she was sitting there. She said she had a real bad headache. And I said, okay. I said, I'm sorry. And then, but she was just sitting there, you know, eagerly waiting on that. I felt bad. I didn't have but I didn't have it. I forgot to put them back in my purse. But because I had a brand new bottle at home, Tylenol. But I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna keep it in my purse, because I never, you know, I don't think about. I know when I'm not hurting or something. You know, I don't just take them. It's either a headache or something like that, which I don't even get that much. But I wish like I said, this is one time I wish I had it in my purse, because she really, I could tell she really needed it. But anyway, I told her, I said, I'm sorry. She said, that's okay. And she went on back to her seat. But I was trying to figure out, how did she even know I was sitting right there? Well, when I walked out of the church, her and her husband sitting in the back, in our little saw me walk in, or because I walked in, I was late, of course, but today, or if she had been there all the time. I don't know, but I just know she trying to think, y'all, where I'm going, where I'm pausing. I got turned around where I was trying to go. But anyway, she can't see over this little hill here. I can't really see. But anyway, so she went on back to her seat. We sat with her husband, of course. And so I was like, oh, somebody needed me. I don't like when that happens, because I'm like, oh man, I like helping people and being there for somebody. But God knows, He knows, so it's okay. But I went to them when we get ready to leave, because, like I said, we had to leave a few minutes early. We heard the whole message, but we had to leave because we had to get back so we could pay for that, that battery and stuff, and want to get that taken care of. What we got later in the day. So anyway, God worked it all out, and but I told them, I went back there and told them before I left, we was ready to walk out. I rubbed them on their back, and I said, the enemy lost again. I said, he just a loser. They thought that was so funny, but I told them, I said, he can't stop what God got. He can't stop it. He can't stop what God got for us. And like I said, I'm so determined. Cause see, I know what God has told me. You know what God has told you and showed you. So, I can't give up. I've come too far. I've come way too far. I can't, y'all. I don't come a long way. Cause like I said, there was a time I would literally be just mad. I would have been mad the whole rest of this day. Just mad. Mad at anybody walk across my path. I'm mad at them. They ain't did nothing to me. Some of them didn't even know me. But I just be mad. And not trying to fight nobody, or I don't curse no way, but not like that. But I'm talking about just having a mean spirit within me. Because I'm mad about my situation. So, I'm just mad. Internally mad. So, but yeah, I thank the Lord for change. I really do. Because like I said, ain't nobody but Jesus. There's nobody but Him that helps us through day-to-day situations. And like I said, I told that older gentleman, I said, it's just a blessing. And he said it. He said it's a blessing to be able to recognize how God is working through us and on us. And he said it himself. He said, he said, we have to tell that old man to die daily. And I said, yep, we do. We really do. People go through life, and like I said, a lot of people don't realize that, there's a such thing as strongholds, and when anger, fear, lust, pride, whatever, those are mine. And God, He helping me with those. But in the meanwhile, He wants us to be able to, to acknowledge that we do got strongholds on us, and we need His help. Can't do it by itself. Oh, and then the other thing, y'all, let me share this. I gotta be honest. I gotta tell everything. So, when I got through showering this morning, and like I said, I'm just ready. I woke up a little late, but I was like, ooh, I gotta get to stepping, because we gotta get out of, we gotta be leaving here. And so, just so excited, and I bent down, in the bathroom, and my back, I was like, ooh, and it's like I pulled something, but I didn't pull anything. I go to the doctor. I have a doctor's appointment this, I think it's this Thursday, whatever the 15th is, and I'm gonna ask her about that, because I don't know if it's because I got low iron in my body, or I don't know what's going on, but I get that it don't happen all the time, but it's been going on, and I really believe it's from when I had the car wreck. I had that car accident years ago in 1990. I think it was 1990. What year was that? 99, I believe. Because I believe it was the same year as my gallbladder surgery, or it was close to that. But it's a guy rear-ended me, and I feel like I had to go through physical therapy, but I feel like that that is in due in part to that. I really believe that's linked to that, because that was a time, and I don't claim sickness and stuff, but that was a time where I remember, I never forget this, and I shared it with a family member, and they said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, but I never, you know how you get busy, you doing life, you're not thinking about stuff like that because you're young, you don't care." And I had health insurance then, but I was like, well, maybe that's just nothing. But I was sitting on the couch. This was like maybe, I think this is the first time this had happened since that car accident. But I was sitting on the couch, and or I had been laying on the couch for a while, and I tried to get up, and I couldn't even get up. And I was like, what's going on? I can't even get up. Like how you from a sitting place, you're trying to stand up or sit up. I couldn't even do it. Couldn't do it. And I said, oh my, and I think I laid there for a little bit. I can't remember if I told my husband or not. I can't remember, my late husband or not. I can't remember. But I laid there for a little while longer, and then I was able to get up after that. But I really believe, thank you, Holy Spirit, I really believe that's what that's from. It's from that car accident. And it could have been from the one in 1991 too. Sometimes stuff don't show up in your body, or you don't start dealing with it till you get older. Even though it happened years ago. So I think that may be it could be what's going on from that. But and it's because it's the same type of, what I'm feeling. And it's like it's in my lower lumbar spine area, like in that area. But it's like, and it don't happen all the time. It don't happen all the time. It only does it like, I want to say every 2 months or something like that, or now. But I feel like the last time this happened, this month is May. I feel like this happened back in February, I believe. May, the last time I had this, or it may have even been March, because I remember I got up one morning, and it lasts for like 3 or 4 days, and it's a tingling going down. I really do need to get that checked, because that, that's messing with your walking and your mobility. I need to find out what's going on with that. But it may not even, this car way over the line, it may not even a lot of times stuff don't show. Especially if it's spiritual, it won't show. It won't show on tests and stuff. I've had that happen too many times, and if it don't show, I know it's the enemy. But when I go Thursday, I'm gonna get me a heating pad and stuff. I need to invest in that. I'm gonna go Thursday, and I'm gonna talk to my doctor and see can she get me some tests run on to find out what's going on with that. Because like I said, it could be multiple. It could be a combination of things. I take iron pills. It could be that, low iron, or it could be I don't know. It could be a combination of stuff that's going on. The reason I'm feeling that way, but like I said, it don't do it every day. It was happening like every 3-4 months, but now I'm noticing it's getting, it's more frequent. So I need to find out what's going on with that, because like I said, I don't want to be in a situation where I can't do nothing. I don't want to be like that. So I don't know, y'all, but I looked it up, and it mentioned it connected it to, I'm trying to think what you call that, with your back area. It linked it to that lumbar. I can't remember what is the term, but it said it actually said it linked it to maybe a trauma in that area, which, like I said, when the guy I've had when they that's what it was. Thank you, Jesus. That's what it was. It linked it to that. I had my right hip dislocated in that car wreck in 91. So, and they of course popped it back in place, but that's in that area. So I believe that's what, it's trauma to that area. And I never had any trouble out of it. But that, when I was sitting on the couch that night at our old house, that's been years ago. And then it didn't happen no more. And then it was, but I've fallen since then, and you can traumatize the area if you've fallen. I remember I fell after my late husband passed away. I fell and slipped up on some clothes in the laundry area. Laundry room was in the kitchen, and I don't even know how I ended up on my bottom, but that was a hard fall, and that hurt. Ooh, that hurt. But I jumped right back up. I was telling a lady at work about that. I think it was Thursday or Friday. And she said, oh my. I said, yeah. I said, I jumped right back up. And I said, because I didn't want it to, I didn't want to have an effect on me. I jumped right back up. And, you know, I didn't, but that for the next 2 or 3 days, I was hurting. I was hurting for certain. But, so I, you know, but then after that, it went back, everything went back how it was. But like I said, I looked it up and it did say that. When I looked it up, it said, if you had any trauma in that area, you know, or whatever, it could be linked to that. And see, I'm getting older. I'm just 51, but, you know, still, I've fallen and stuff, and I need to find out what, because if I can take some medicine or whatever I need to do that, because it ain't no fun feeling, y'all. But the heat, I need to invest in a heating pad. But the little lighter, whatever you call it, patches or whatever, lighter cane patches or whatever they call it, I buy them at the dollar store, the icy hot. Those feel good, but it don't make it go away. But like I said, when it happens for like, it'll stay in that pain will stay there. And it ain't really pain, it's why I can't just stand up straight. Like, I mean, it's you know, I can tell my bones or something, it's not, whatever. It's like what you call it, it ain't really hurting. But it's just where I can feel where, you know, something ain't lining up right or something. I don't think what I'm trying to say. But it ain't like, ooh, it hurt, but it's, you know, it ain't really hurting, but it's like stinging. That's the feeling. It's a stinging. So yeah, I need to get that looked at, because like I said, I like to feel good. I don't like when I'm feeling some type of way like that. So God got me. He got me. Like I said, the enemy can't stop what God got for me. I'm in it to win it. And the pain medicine don't do nothing either. They don't do nothing either. The icy hot thing, that helps. Like I said, it soothes it, but it don't make it go like completely away. Like, oh, it's gone. It's you know, it kind of massages it though. But like I said, I need me a back massager. I think that'll help me. I feel like that'll help. So I may try to go close to a Walgreens. I may try to go there and see if they got one. Cause I looked online, they like $20-something. So I may that's an investment. I need to invest in. But anyway, I don't know if they got back, but it's not my back though. It's that lumbar spine area. And then like I go. But that, it gives life. So, new life. New, N-E-W. So, that's what we got in Jesus, new life. That's a word for somebody. New life. We got new life in Jesus. So anyway, that's all behind us. I still did everything I was supposed to do, y'all. And y'all see I don't know if you can see my dress, but the Lord blessed me to get this dress. It was cheap, too. And so the older gentleman who I was talking to was witnessing it to each other. He said, I love your dress. I said, thank you, sir. So, and it's long, y'all. You know, I love long dresses. You know, they got it's some beautiful long dresses, y'all, ladies. You know, there's nothing wrong with to the knee, but it's something about flowy long dresses. I love it, especially in the summertime. Now when it gets super hot, you know, but going to church, you know, I don't know, I was always raised to just cover up, be respectful, you know, and not just for myself, but for others too. I don't want to go to church tempting no man. I don't want to go to church, you know, showing everything I got. You know, I just don't. It's just me. That's my character. But, you know, ladies, just, you know, cover up your breast, cover up your behind. You know, you're there to worship. You ain't there to show everything you got. That's the word for somebody too. You know, I was telling the lady yesterday, I was witnessing about Jesus, and I said, you know, I come from, and that's one thing I can say about my mom. She that's how she raised me, to cover up. I can say that about her. She did some stuff that, you know, just some of the stuff wasn't right. Mother approved. I mean, child approved some of that stuff, but that's one thing she did do. She taught me to cover up, and that's what I do. I don't wear no. I try my best to be respectful. When I was looking for, you know, dresses yesterday, I saw some long ones. I mean, some short ones, but I was like, where am I gonna wear that to? You know, cause, you know, like I said, I like to. You can look gorgeous. I mean, you're gorgeous anyway. You're beautiful anyway in God's eyesight. But I'm saying, you can. Looking for my thing, y'all, so I can plug into my adapter for my phone in the car. I threw it back in here. But you can look beautiful. You're beautiful anyway. But you can look, you know, even more beautiful when you covered up. You don't have to go and find the shortest dress or the most revealing dress. And some of the dresses I see women in, I'm like, look like they searched hard for that dress, because it seems like it's the most revealing dress ever, you know. And I'm like, surely they had other dresses in that place, you know. And I almost be wanting to sometimes be like, can I go with you next time you shop, because I can help you. But you know, that's just what some people like. You know, they like stuff like that. But we gotta be respectful and mindful. You know, God want us to. Yeah, that's His house. That ain't our house. There ain't no club. It ain't no hangout spot. It's His house. It's holy. It's holy. And when we coming in there with other stuff on that man, you know, some women go to church to do that. You know, you in there trying to seduce a man, or you see somebody you like, and you know, trying to look pretty for them. That's your motivation going to church, because you want to, you know, get their attention. That's not what you're supposed to be going to church for. I'm just gonna break it down to you like that, because I had somebody mention it to me, and you know, I'm like, yeah, but, and I said, but we're not supposed to be looking for a man. Our husband. Now, if you ain't looking for a husband, then I guess you are looking for just a man, and you're gonna find exactly what you're looking for. And it ain't gonna be nice, because it's not who God got for you. He's supposed to find you. You know. I've shared that before. He's supposed to find you, not you find him. Because see, when you find him, that's gonna be some problems. Gonna be some problems. People wondering how come, you know, they can't make it, or they dealing with so many issues in their marriage, and they dealing with so many issues in, you know, everybody that's together. God ain't put them together. They put their own self together through lust, through sex, through babies and whatever else. They put their own stuff together. And God said, I had no part in it. You didn't consult him. You didn't pray about it. You didn't do nothing. You chose that person and you went on like that. And that's why, sometimes we have to just reap what we sow. And I really feel like that. That's why a lot of people go through so much stuff in marriages and the cheating and the not making light of it. But that's why they go through so much stuff, because they have opened that door. They opened that door themselves. They didn't allow God to open it for them to walk through it. They had the key they own. They said, well, I got, this is what I want. And so they got what they wanted. But it wasn't what they needed. It's not what they needed. So, we got to be mindful of that, y'all. Lord, the God is teaching me so much, y'all, because there's so much I did not know and I was never taught. And he teaching me. And he the best teacher ever. Jesus the best teacher ever. Greatest teacher ever. And, that's what I'm saying. That's why a lot of times you need to you got to get in your word for yourself. You got to know his word for yourself, because you can't rely on nobody to tell you, not even your pastor. You got to go get in your word yourself, and he'll reveal things to you that you do not know. But if you sitting around and you just waiting on somebody to tell you stuff, they gonna tell you stuff, but it may not always be right, and it may not always be what the word of God say. So that's why you got to be mindful. But y'all, I'm finna get in here. I may take y'all in here with me. I'm get in here and see, can I find me a little. I don't want to pay much money, because when this happens, it ain't. I'm not trying to pay no $60-$70, but I don't think they cost that much anyway. But it said when I went online, it said they $22 or $24. So I'm gonna get that, and then like I said, I don't really need no pain pills, because they don't. I got Tylenol, but they don't really do anything. Taking, it's not even my back. It's not even in that area. It's just. But I may see, can I find. Well, I got Tylenol already at home, so I may just try to get some goodie powder or something, maybe. But that's not. It's not gonna target that, because that's not what it is. It's in my. I think it's in my bones. But anyway, I'm gonna get in here, y'all, and I still got joy. Talk to you in a minute. Hey y'all, I'm back. I ended up stopping at the Walgreens, of course. That's where I was last at, and I got a heated massager. It said it's timed. I forget what it says. It heats up, I think, within it's a weighted one. It heats up in 30 seconds. So I'm like, ooh, that's what I need. So anyway, I'm gonna apply when I get home. I'm gonna apply it to that area and see how good it is. But anyway, I just paid $21 for it. Well, it's $22 or $21.99. But I had noticed it was another one. It went on a different aisle, and where they had like the stuff where you can buy gifts and stuff on that aisle. And so I was like, oh no, I'm not finna pay no $59.99 for no back massage, and I'm not gonna even use it all the time. So the young lady, she said, ma'am, it's some over on this other aisle. So it was over there by where the vitamins and stuff. I didn't think to look over there. So anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what I saw online. That's what I wanted to get, that one. So God worked it out for me. So I'm happy about that. So I'll be using this for. Hopefully, I won't be using it too long. Because when I go to the doctor, I'm gonna find out what's going on. But anyway, for now, at least I know I got that. Because those then they had the little ice packs, ice cold packs or whatever you call them. You can apply it, but you don't get that many. You only get like 2 or 3 in a box, and I'm like, no, it's not even worth that. And I think they last for like, they don't even last that long, because once they super cold or hot or whatever the case is, and then after that it's like it's just a temporary fix. I forget how long it actually like supposed to work in your in that area, but I just rather have a heating pad. I think that'll be best for me right now. So I'm gonna do that. But y'all, I'm headed to Dunkin' Donuts. I'm gonna get me I'm gonna get a hot tea this time. That cold tea, y'all, it'd be too sweet. it's too much sugar, and I need to, until I can know how much sugar to, tell them to put in there or whatever. I probably do myself a really good service, but I don't know. I know I like it sweet, but when it's cold, it's too sweet. I don't like, so I'm gonna get something. I feel like I want a hot chai today, so I'm gonna get that and just get me a donut. That's all I want right now. And when I get home, I'll figure out what I'm gonna. Like I said, I'm not even really hungry. My son and daughter, they already got them something to eat, but I'm not hungry. Like, just not. And maybe because it's early. But maybe around, maybe in a little bit I'll be wanting something. But I don't even really want fish. Got some fish sticks at home. And I got something I can make. I may do that. Make me some slaw. I like making my own slaw, and may just eat that. But I don't have nothing to really go with it though. Make me a little fish sandwich. I always put like just 2 fish sticks on the on the bread, and then spread the slaw. I need to get some mustard. I may just do that. But yeah, I'm not hungry. But I think what I'm gonna do is just Instacart, because I don't feel like I need to be walking around. I'm hurting just a little bit, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna go home and see what we need. I'm not gonna Instacart much, but I'm gonna do, just enough to get us through this upcoming week. And we already got a lot of other stuff. I'm just gonna add to it, and that's it. I'm gonna just rest the rest of the day. Just back to work on tomorrow. Another week, y'all. Just as soon as the weekend comes, it's gone. Literally, it's gone. But I always try to savor my Sundays because they go so fast. And once we go to church and I don't have to do my little run around Walgreens stuff today because we already got water. I got that yesterday. I'm glad I did now. And then I got the bathroom tissue. Y'all, I'll be back. Hey y'all, I'm back. Once again, they never get. Look, y'all, they just give you a donut. No napkin. I guess I should have asked for it. I got me some wipes in here. Y'all, I wanted to do so much more, but I'm not. It hurt. It don't hurt. It stings when I walk now. When I have this, when this happens. So I'm just gonna. The blood of Jesus is against the devil. I'm just gonna. It feels good actually when I'm sitting, but I wanted to go to the thrift store and walk around. I didn't really get a chance to do that yesterday like I wanted to, but I don't think that's a good idea today, because I don't want to be honest, I don't want to be walking and then just, what I'm saying, not be able to stand up straight or have some, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put myself in that situation, so I better not do that. That's why I decided against going to the grocery store, because grocery mart, because I don't think that's a good idea. Even though I'd be leaning on the buggy, but I ain't going. I got my hot chai. I think I started going wrong when I started getting cold chai, but I started getting it because I could feel that kick from it. That's because it had all that sugar in it. The hot is good too, but like I said, I had been getting the cold. It's loaded with sugar. Loaded. So I probably, and then every time I get it, it upsets my stomach too, because it's milk and sugar. That's all it is. So I pray y'all are having a beautiful day. I pray you're spending time with your mother. she's still here on earth, and I pray that you're just enjoying this day. Not just because it's Mother's Day, but just because it's a brand new day. Perfect. It's perfect, y'all. It's just what I wanted. I'm trying to see where that lady was coming out of. It's a nail shop there. Had like a husband picking her up. They had a lot of little stores in this. I'm sitting in front of a liquor store, y'all. Don't judge me. This is a big parking lot, so I just parked right here because Dunkin' Donuts is right behind me. So, but yeah, I had some challenges this morning, y'all. But I feel like I pleased the Lord because I jumped through every last one of them challenges. I felt like I was doing an obstacle course this morning. Literally an obstacle course. You know how you have those in the military? That's what I felt like. Preparation. And I'm learning too, y'all. The Lord wants to see how we're gonna respond to situations. And I feel like I've been failing in the past because, like I said, there was a time something like this happened. Everybody gonna feel it. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be mad the rest of the day. And maybe tomorrow. That's how it used to be. But now, I can't do nothing but just, it's sort of funny to me. Because I know, I'm like, okay, that came for me, and I'm gonna deal with it, and it's gonna still go on. Still go on. Y'all, I wish I could, kids sort of laugh at me when I say this, but I wish I could, sometimes just, when you see people doing something, going in a place that they probably don't need to be going in, and I'm not judging. They got things I'm dealing with, but I'm saying, like the man, he just went, like he around my age, he just went in the liquor store. And I know a lot of times people just do that. Maybe they having a get together or whatever. Some people just drink occasionally, but it's just not good for you. And I think I'm pretty sure they sell wine and beer and liquor in there, but still, we gotta just be mindful of everything we do. And I know, like I said, some people just do it just, for leisure. But it's just, I know, I'd be like, I wish I could say something to that person, or, say, you don't have to resort to doing that. But some people, I know they do that. It came out with the whole case. Some people do that, I know, for parties and get-togethers. It's just their way of enjoyment. But this is just my opinion, y'all. You just shouldn't have to do that. Drink to have a good time, because I think like this. Maybe I'm a party pooper, but I think like if you're doing that, maybe you just doing it. Just say if I'm and this has never happened to me, but I'm just saying, if somebody invite me to we'll say a birthday party or I'm back, y'all. My storage was full. I had to delete some photos and stuff, videos, but. What I was saying for the video cutout is that, I know, say like if I'm invited to a party or engagement party or celebration or wedding, whatever the case is, birthday party, whatever, and I could have never drank, but I drank that one time. That could open that door for me to just continuously be drinking, and it could become a stronghold for me. At one time, may have never drank ever in my life, but I did that one time, and that opened that door, opened the door. And then every time I turn around, I'm trying to buy me a beer, or I'm trying to buy me some liquor or wine or whatever. I just need that I felt, it felt good to do that time. That's what, that's what people dealing with. It feel good to do that. Oh, that tastes pretty good. They like the flavor or something or what? Because it's people, they know every wine flavor, and I think, what is it? Some of them are dry and some of them not. They know all of that, and I'm like, oh. And then some people say, oh, you don't drink. I'm like, no, I don't know, but they know down to the specific of wines and beers and everything. But like I said, I know a lot of times people result to that's filling a void. I shared a video about that. Lord put in my place in my spirit. That's what was happening to me with Culver's, the fish place. And that would be my excuse, oh, I eat it because that's the only meat that I can eat, and even my children said, Mama, so like you addicted to that place. Because I was eating, y'all, sometimes I eat there for 2 or 3 times a week. And it was a must on the weekend. I had to eat it on Saturday. I did videos eating it on Saturday. Lord said, take a break. Take a break. I would literally be working, and it'll just come in my mind, okay, I'm on me a fish plate today when I get off, But the fish, like I said, it's not taken away from the Culver's or anything, but that fish is greasy, and, it didn't agree. I don't have a gallbladder anymore, so, when you eat something, every once in a while, you don't really feel the effect. But if you're doing it at least 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to feel that from that, and that's what I started to feel that, I eat, because I usually eat around dinner around 6, 7, something like that. And then I'm going to bed, and I'm laying down with all that, that grease on my stomach. And that's not good. I'm burping and belching, and I'm trying to drink water and stuff to wash away all of that. But we just got to be mindful of what we put in our system, y'all. We really do. And you got to just do better. Know better, you're supposed to do better. But I just, I just think about that. That's what I was doing. I was filling a void, because the Lord said, just get in my word, and I read this word, I pray, I fast, I do all of that. But he said, I want you to get in there, get in it more. And that's what I'm doing now. And he said, I got some things I want to tell you, and because we always, I got to retrain my mind, but we always, he know everything we're going through, y'all. We don't have to be before him, telling him, like I'm talking about myself, telling him everything. We tell him the same stuff all the time. He know all of that. But I gotta train my mind to just say, Lord, I thank you for all your blessings that you have done, you're doing, and what you're getting ready to do. And then you allow him to speak to you. Because I feel like we run our mouth to him and talk to him, and don't let him get a word in edgewise. That's a word for somebody right there. We talk so much. The Lord said, can I say something? Hello? Can I say what I need? Because what he got to say is it far exceeds what you saying. Because what you saying, he got an answer to all of that stuff. But that's what I'm gonna work on this week in my prayer time with him, because the older gentleman, that's what he was saying to me yesterday, ministering to me. He said, just be before him so he can talk to you. And he will, y'all. He will. I'm telling you. People think, well, the Lord don't. I had someone say that to me a while back. Well, he don't speak. I said, yes, he do. He speaks to all of us. It's a matter. It ain't a matter is he speaking. It's a matter of are we listening? Because we so busy. We so busy and we so preoccupied with all this other mess in the world. We got to watch our series. We got to watch, and that's another thing. That's one thing my youngest son, he get on me, because him and his my late husband, they love watching series, like on Netflix or on just any type of series. And I never could get into that. Now, there was this one series, I can't remember the name of it now, but it was really good. It was on Netflix, and the lady who's in it, the actress, she's an Avatar. She's one of the actresses there. I want to say her name is Zoe, and I don't know if it's Zoe or not. Her first name, Saldana. I don't know, but she's a well-known actress. I know that. And anyway, she's played in that, and then she's also played. There was this other movie she played in I really liked, where she was a fighter. But she I don't know if that's her name or not. But anyway, she's the lady in Avatar. It's a guy, and then she's the lady. And I'm not talking about not the white lady. I'm talking about she I don't know if she's black or Hispanic. I don't know what her race is. But anyway, she's real pretty. But I think that's her name, Zoe. I think that's her name. The first name is Zoe. But anyway, that's who I'm referring to. She's on the series of Netflix, the Netflix series I'm talking about. And my oldest daughter, y'all, I had never. That's when we was living in the rental house. I had never watched a series, and she said, "Mama," and it was so good because it's mainly about. I can just tell you just a little bit about it. Her husband. Their world got turned upside down by her husband being very, very sick, and he eventually, he passed away. I mean, it's good, y'all. I don't even know if it's still on there, but I can't remember the name of it. But y'all, I wasn't watching it like back to back, but it was so good, and I couldn't stop watching it because it resonated with me because, of course, death, spouse, and then she was just so resilient. She was there for him, and it was just a lot of. It was a tearjerker. It was really a tearjerker, and it was so good. Anyway, I think that's my first time ever watching one like that. Cause I'll start one, but my late husband, he could sit there and watch. I think it was the Lord of the Rings. I don't know what that series was. I don't think it was the Lord of the Rings. It was the other one. He sit there and just he watched the whole thing, y'all. I mean, he'll watch like 5, 6 episodes or whatever they call in one day. And he just watch them. That's how his attention span is. But I can't. I have to get up and go get me something to eat. He used to tell me all the time. He said, "You got a short attention span." I said, "Yeah." And I said, "No, sometimes I do." But I said, if something is really good and I really like it, I'll sit there and watch it. Like I can read a whole book if it's really interesting to me. But if it's not, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna share with y'all. So the book that Deion Sanders has, I forget. It's an old book. I think that book. I don't know if it came out in '98 or I don't know what year that book came out, but I forget the name of it. But if y'all ever get a chance to read, it on the front of it. I'm trying to think. I can't remember I got it at home, but I can't remember how the cover of it is. But it's a really good book, y'all, and it's talking about all the things that he had to go through to get where he's at today. And you know how you look at people and you don't know people's story. Like you don't know my story. I've told a lot of stuff on here, but I haven't told you like I mean you can kind of gather from what I've told you with what's come out of my mouth, but I had to actually live that stuff. And to me, until when you have gone through the stuff that you're talking about, that's some strength right there. That's some strength only God can provide. But if you get a chance, I can't think of the name of the book, but it's really good. It's a really good book, and I read that book. I could put that book down. I was going through them chapters like nobody's business, because I was like, okay, and because I was, and then sometimes I read it sort of late in the evening, but I was really reading it because my whole thing, God knows this, I enjoy listening to people's testimonies. When we were in the South, y'all, everybody going in this liquor store. This one lady, she got a bag she going in there with. The dog, he left the little puppy in the car. The puppy like, wait, what about me? So anyway, Lord, just be with him. But anyway, what was I saying? So, y'all, I forgot what I was saying. It was just a rush of people that went in that store just now, the liquor store. I'm like sitting like almost directly in front of it. That's why I'm able to see everybody. But Oh, so yeah, I was talking about testimony. So the church which we was in the South, I love that. I enjoyed that portion. Now, we would only do the testimonies. We would do them on Sundays, but it would mainly be when like Thanksgiving, on special days, sometime Mother's Day, it'd be something like that. But mainly be like Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve service. We get up and share your testimony on that. But I would love hearing about different people's testimonies. And I remember this one lady, just like it was yesterday. Now, at the time, of course, my husband was living, and I wasn't looking down. I mean, it wasn't that I ignored her, but I couldn't resonate. It didn't resonate to me like it do now. She was a retired school teacher, and she was like maybe in her late 70s, early 80s, maybe. Pretty lady, real pretty lady. Me and her used to talk all the time at the church, and her granddaughter was in the young girls group that I was, that I was sort of over or leading, and she, like I said, we would talk every now and then. And then her daughter had started coming to the church. She was telling me she had been praying for her daughter. Her daughter started coming. But anyway, before that, she had got up and did a testimony about her husband passing away. And I forget which, I want to say this was one Thanksgiving or Christmas when she announced, or she got up and did the testimony. But y'all, I was like, wow, because she said, I'm still here. She said, I miss him. And I forget when she gave that testimony how long it had been, since he had passed away. But it don't matter, he no longer with her. But anyway, she gave her testimony, and I just remember that, y'all. But until you have to go through stuff, you don't understand the full effect of stuff. People can sit in front of your face and tell you what they've been through. They can talk to your head off. But until you have to walk through that and go through stuff, that's when you like, whoa. And that's what happened to me. When my late husband passed away, I'm like, okay, I get it now. And I shared it. I had already shared it with the older man and woman yesterday at that furniture store, but I reshared it, and he said that's a powerful testimony. And I said, well, because I'm not just telling them about death, I'm telling them about how I'm able to live from that situation. That's the testimony, And so God said, you gonna live and not die. So, like I said, we make light of people's situation and say, well, yeah, they got this, they got that, but you don't know. You don't know what people have had to go through. People ain't got to tell you what they gone through. They don't have to tell you nothing. But we so quick. I'm guilty. You see people, you say, oh yeah, they this, that, and the other, but it's people struggling, y'all. They struggling. I was struggling. And I was telling them yesterday, I said, we on the outside, it looked like me and my late husband, it looked like we had it all. We had it all. That's the way it looked. I gotta charge the phone up, y'all. It's getting low. But yeah, it looked like we had it all. We had it all together. And they always referred to us, y'all on that house up there on that house on the hill. Because the house was nice and had what else? The 4 cars. I mean, we just seemed like we had it going on. But I'm gonna tell you, what really, when the light really shone in that house was when we got sick. And y'all, like I said, I thought I was gonna die. I don't share this before. I literally thought I was gonna die because I felt it in my body. Felt like I was losing strength. But God, He said, you gonna live. You gonna live. You gonna live. Fight. He said, fight. And I said, Lord, please. And in that time, I wasn't trying to say, let me be here for. I was thinking about my children and what was going on. But I did say this, and God is my witness. I said, let me live. So I could take care of my husband. And because I didn't know, but see, I didn't know I was gonna take care of him for a week. That's all I was gonna be granted. He won't die. But that's what my, and I'm sort of surprised, not surprised I said that, but I was selfish during that time. So I'm like, that's what I was. He was on my heart, because he was in the hospital at that time, and he was coming home in a day or so, because I think this was a Thursday when I cried out to God, but he was coming home that next day. And I was just trying, I said, I just need to have some strength. So I didn't know, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have to quit my job. I don't know if we're going to have to move out this house, or we're gonna lose everything? I don't know. Excuse me, but God knew. So, you know, like I said, we just don't know people's situation. You know, we so quick to sit back and say, yeah, you know, but you don't know what people have had to go through. And it's a few books that I will read. I would like to read, I want to sort of read Will Smith's book. But, you know, I have to be led to do stuff. That got my attention when he was, what he's dealing with right now, you know. And I'm not on here promoting him or anything, but I'm talking about it's coming from a spiritual way. In a spiritual way, you know, God is dealing with so many people right now, you know, you know, he pulling on them. He doing his utmost to get their attention before it's everlasting too late. He don't want nobody to perish. That's how loving he is. He don't want nobody to die and go to hell. You know, and so, you know, it's people I hate to say it, and I'm not making light of their situation, but he have put them on their bed, flat on their back. He done paralyzed them. They done had car wrecks and they survived. They still here though, you know. He's put sicknesses upon them, and they still cursing him. You know, they still don't want no part of him. And he trying, you know, he's like, I want you to know me, you know. But they don't want to. They don't try to kill, to unalive themselves. But I don't say that. I say kill, because it's in the commandments. Do not kill. It ain't no unalive. It don't say do not unalive. It say do not kill. Thou shalt not kill. So they don't try to do that, and they still here. I heard a young man's testimony on one of the videos, YouTube videos, and he was saying how he kept trying to he was trying to, you know, take his life, and the bullet was not in the chamber. It just, God didn't allow it. There wasn't no gun. It wasn't the bullet, wasn't the chamber. God said, no, you're gonna live. And he shared a powerful testimony. You know, like I said, we want to fight against the Lord and go against him, and for what? Because he's the orchestrator of it all. He's the author of it all. He's the beginning and the end. And, you know, we just want to, you know, I'm not, you know, judging in that way, because, you know, I was the same way. You know, when I was out in the world, before I met my late husband, doing everything I was big enough to do, you know, I wasn't thinking about no Lord. I had heard of him, you know, go to church every now and then on special days like today, you know, but I didn't care to know him anymore. And sleeping around, yeah, and just doing all kind of mess. No, I didn't do drugs. No, I didn't drink and do none of that. But I did other stuff. So it's all to me, it's all the same. You know, some people say, well, I didn't do that. I didn't know, but you did other stuff. What else? But you did something that in the place of that still was wrong. It's all wrong in God's eyesight. So like I said, I just thank him. I really do for bringing me out of that slimy pit, y'all. I thank him every day. And that's why when stuff like this, what happened today, I'm like, I can't be mad. I can only be glad. You know, that's why I try my best to be a light to everybody around me when I'm at work. These days, my stomach, I don't be feeling the best at all. But I said, Lord, just give me strength. Give me strength to encourage somebody else. No matter what I got going on, I don't want that to affect them. You know, I want them to, you know, be encouraged through something you have told me to share with them. And he do it every time, y'all. He do it every time. So I'm thankful. I really am. I like I said, I wouldn't want to be in no other place but with Jesus, because, you know, I've been ridiculed and mocked and, you know, laughed at and made fun of, and, you know, seemed like people could have helped me. They didn't help me. When we was in that hotel, you know, the lease didn't get renewed, and we had to be in that hotel, and y'all, that was just so, that did something to my little ego there. But God said, I'm doing something here if you just trust me. And we didn't have to do it that long, but it could have been worse. It could have been worse. We could not have had money to stay in that extended stay hotel. And it was nice. It was nice. But all 4 of us, me and them 3 children, and then my daughter, my youngest daughter, she get ready for college in a few months. And it was just so much, y'all. It was so much. And I'm like, Lord, we need your help. But I did a video. That's one thing I can say, how God has been guiding me. He said, just keep going. Just keep going, because you're going to walk into what I got for you. You just keep going. You can't stop. Keep going. But I feel like a lot of stuff God do orchestrate, because like I said, he's building our character. He's seeing how we react with the good as well as the bad situations. And a lot of those situations ain't even bad. They just come to make us better and stronger. But we look at it bad because it's, that's not what we wanted to go through. But God said, I'm doing something here. I'm doing a great work in you, but you got to trust me. But I did a video where I was walking around that hotel, y'all. I was just like, oh, and all that stuff was in storage. That's money. That was extra money we didn't even have, but I ain't no choice. And then we had our dog, but the blessing, we was able to keep our German Shepherd with us, because that hotel accepted dogs, and it was just, it was something else. But we made it. And then I was, I didn't want to call back home, because I was like, I'm a grown, here I am, 50-something years old, and I felt like I had failed my children, and failed God first, but failed my children, because I'm looking like I'm a crazy person. When we moved here, we had all that money, and we had all that money, y'all, and not saying in a boastful way, but I'm talking about that was from the policy. And we had quite a bit of money when we moved here, and I was, I said, okay, we're gonna get there, and we're gonna find us a place to live. I'm always hopeful. We're gonna find us a place to live. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Then none of that go like I thought it would go. None of it. It went the other way, which wasn't bad, but it didn't go the way I thought it was. And that's what I'm saying. God's ways are so much higher than ours. He know. We think we know. We have no idea. And that's what I'm talking about, y'all. We had quite a bit of money when we moved here. And because even after I had paid bills and car notes and we sold the house, got a little money from that. So we had money, but still couldn't find a place. Still could not find a place to live. Had money. Listen to me now. Had money. Access to money. Quite a bit of money. But I kept getting no. I can't rent you. I can't rent you a house. You ain't got no job. And so God said, even though you have what you think you have, it's going to take my hand to move. It's going to take my almighty hand to move for you in that situation before you can do anything. And that's what I'm saying. People think because they got stuff, I got good credit, I got this big old house, I'm just saying, I'm giving examples. I got, but what I'm talking about, what man looks at as you, so you in society, you've arrived. I got good credit. What else they look at? I'm a good person. I've been on my job for 30-40 years. God don't care nothing about none of that. He don't care nothing about none of that. What he looking for is your faith. What he looking for, because you can have $1 in your bank, but he can bless you. You look at that bank the next day or next hour, minute, whatever, and you have $1 million in there. You have $10,000, whatever. That's how powerful he is. But I can say this. I've shared this before, but I use that money to help others, and I'm not bragging. I'm giving honor, glory, and praise to God. But I literally was thinking of who I could help in my family and who I could just help, because when we moved here, it really was in my spirit strong to help people. And but I don't do that so much like I used to, because the homeless stuff. Like, I used to just randomly give people, money and stuff. I don't do that because there was a gentleman, and it's not because of this, but it was one day I had stopped. Well, I saw the gentleman. You know how they had a sign, and it was saying we'll need money or something. I forget the other stuff he had on there, but I went out because God was directing me to pray with them. Not don't just give them money, just minister to them, and that's what I was doing. And so I asked him. I said, do he know Jesus and all of that? And he said, yes, I know Jesus. He said, ma'am, I'm just gonna be honest with you. He said, I'm out here asking, want money so I can buy some cigarettes. And I said, really? He said, yep. He said, I'm just gonna be. And see, that was the Holy Spirit that was within me was drawing that out of him. No glory for me. Forget about me. But I'm talking about Jesus, the Lord. He drew that out of him for me to know that because. And I wasn't trying to get you tell me the truth. No, I was just stopping to help him. But and so I didn't give him nothing because he like he said, nope. So I'm gonna tell you the truth. But I don't know if he told anybody else the truth, but he told me. And see, the Holy Spirit convicted him because the Lord said, nope, you ain't gonna lie to her. She want a man. You ain't gonna lie to her. But so that opened my eyes up, from that time on. And I don't think that about everybody, but what I'm saying is that he was honest. He was honest in telling me that. He didn't have to tell me that, but he was. I think he said he was. I think he was in his 60s. I think. And I prayed. We prayed because he. Oh, I can't. Well, you know what? I can't remember if we prayed or not because I believe we did though, y'all. Because I remember when he said he told me he know Jesus and. Y'all, I can't remember, to be honest. It's been a while ago when it happened, but I can't remember if I prayed with him or not. But I just know that when he told me that I was like, okay, that's wonderful that he know Jesus. But I didn't, I think we talked a little bit after that, and then I left. But yeah, he said I'm out here hustling money for cigarettes. Sure did tell me that. And I said, well, and he said, oh yeah, he told me, he said, I got a place to live. He said he lived in somebody's basement or downstairs or something in somebody's house. And he said, God has been good to me. And he was talking about the Lord, but he said, I'm just out here hustling money to get me some cigarettes. And I told him, I said, well, your signs, you're appearing like you in need though, and that's why, and but that's why a lot of people don't want to help people too. It's deceitful because, and not just him, it's others too, but it's deceitful and it's misleading because, you out there, appearing, quote unquote, appearing like you need food. Because the first thing I mentioned to him, I said, because McDonald's was like right across like the walkway there. There's a gas station. McDonald's was behind it, and I said, "Do you need anything to eat or something cold to drink?" Because I was willing to do whatever. Because I had parked the car. There was a bank right there. I had parked the car, and I was ready, y'all. I was ready. I had my phone. I could just go pay for stuff off my phone, whatever. And he said, "No, I'm good." Because like I said, after he told me the truth and he told me what was really going on, and then I was like, okay. But I added him to my prayer list and stuff. But that's just one person that actually admitted what they was doing. But like I said, that's why a lot of times why people don't want to help people because they lying. And we all been guilty of not telling the whole truth and stuff. It ain't just him. It ain't just him. It's me. It's you. It's everybody. But what I'm saying is that people, they don't work. They work hard for their money. Some of these, if truth be told, some people on their jobs and they hate their jobs. They don't even want to work, and they really don't want to give you no money. They don't want to give nobody they hard earned money. And they hate that job. They don't want to give you no money. You out here lying and stuff and deceiving folk. So that's just not right. But yeah, and then there was this other man. This was an older black man. I had helped him, but because the area that I'm referring to, both of these people were at, is where I go to check the mail. So that's like a hot spot for begging. It's like a hot spot. So the older gentleman, he had, I think I don't know if it's one of his legs or both of his legs gone, but I would notice, sometimes I would go in that area and he would be there some days, and y'all, these days that I would see it'd be like hot. It'd be so hot, and my first thing is thinking, okay, they need something cold to drink. They need water, or they need juice, or just, that's what I'm thinking about. Or maybe I can get them a hamburger, or maybe I can get them, something. Maybe some fruit or something. And like I said, that man talking about some cigarettes. So, like I said, I was more mindful, and somebody at work had mentioned to me, they said, be mindful, because, a lot of people, they're just saying, and I said, yeah, I know. I said, but what they do with the money, that's on them, If I give them $5, if I give them $50, whatever God put in my spirit heart to do, I'm gonna do it. I can't, it ain't my right to say, no, I ain't giving them no money because they ain't gonna use it right. That's not my right to do. I can't say that. But it's out of my hand, it's from my heart, in my hand, to their hand, and that's it, And I'm not gonna follow them around. I've shared this before. I'm not gonna follow them around and stalk them and say, oh, you ain't using that money right. No, that's not right. Because if I honestly gave it to them from my heart and I was sincere with it, what do I care what they do with it? I did what I was supposed to do. I did what God told me to do. So it's out of my hand. It's off of me. It's off of my hands. But I know people, that's what people think. They like, well, wait a minute, they didn't do what they supposed to do with that, and they watch them and stuff. And I used to be like that, but no, that's silly. That's not even no, it's not right. Because we don't make good the stuff that God give us. So why we watching somebody else? We ain't got a right to do that. Don't have a right. Y'all, I wanted to go to the Nike store, but them Nikes, to be honest, I need some more shoes, running shoes, but them Nikes be so expensive. And I went online and I'm like I went to the lowest price. I said discounts or something, and them Nikes was like like I said, the lowest one was like $70. I'm like, that's just, I ain't trying to pay but $30 at most, or maybe $50. And then that was not even the Nikes I wanted. They weren't even basic. I mean, I was just want basic, but I need me some more. The last pair I bought was a couple years ago. They're gray and white, but I need me some more. But I'm gonna have to probably just go on Amazon or something. I don't know. They don't really have to be Nikes, but I like the feel of those because I have flat feet, so I like the feel of those shoes, the ones I got. And I forget what they call, but they got some type of cushion in them, and they feel good. So yeah, I just passed the Nike outlet, but I'm trying to think of anywhere else I want to go, because once I get home, I'm not coming back out. This is it for today. I'm trying to think. Nowhere else I need nothing I need or anything. I don't need no clothes and that. I know what I was gonna do. I was gonna go to. I went to the after we got out of church, before we got the battery. I mean, after we got the battery. No, it was before we got the battery because I didn't cut the car off. I was gonna was looking for some more laundry detergent. But they still didn't have the kind I normally get. They didn't have Arm & Hammer. No, I don't think they sell Arm & Hammer. So I just do my, could have went to Walgreens to get that. Well, I was just in Walgreens, but I just Instacart. Because I still got to wash, that's what I got to do too. I got to wash the bedding, the comforters and stuff. I still got to do that. But like that. Like I said, I'm not buying that washing the laundry detergent anymore. I don't like that. It smell good, but it ain't the smell like I love. I don't like that smell. It's lemon lime scent. I don't like that. So I'll order that, I guess, with the order. But I'm not gonna get much. I'm learning how to do that Instacart, y'all. You don't get a whole lot. Like I did orders like $100. It usually don't be over $100, but I'm learning just to get exactly what I need. You know, because if you get a whole lot of stuff, it adds that tax in and it makes it more. But I mean, it can be, you know, a lot. But so if you just get a few things, and I be careful with that. And sometimes I'll do small. You know, I do like 2 orders. I'm learning how to do it. Do the system. I do 2 orders. Like I do, one order will be maybe $60, and the other one will be, you know, I do like a $40 or something like that. And so that's $100. But I'm learning to do it, you know, do like that instead of doing a one big amount, you know. So I'm trying to trick this, not cheat the system, but trick the system. I guess that's the same thing. Well, sometimes it don't work, but it just depends on, like I said, it depends on what you get too. But then, you know, I don't mind paying $100 if it's quite a few items. But I try to get stuff that's on sale, or, you know, like we already got ketchup. You know, of course I'm not gonna buy that again, but I try to get stuff we already, you know, just like hamburger meat, stuff like that. That makes the price go higher because it's, you know, it's more money for that. But trying to see what's over here. They got some little. I'm just looking around, y'all. I haven't really rode around out here since we lived out here. Let's see what's in this complex here. Exotic pets. Head shop. That must be a hair. Must be a barber shop, I guess. Yeah, they got 2 barber shops over here. Nail place. Y'all, I was gonna get my nails. I was thinking about doing that, but I was like, you know what? I don't know. I'm trying to see if anybody in that nail place. It looks empty. And I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, some of that stuff now, it used to be so much fun to do that stuff, but now, to me, it's like throwing your money up in the air because, you know, and I'm gonna eventually probably get a pedicure or whatever. We'll be doing a lot of that when my daughter get here for summer break, but I don't know. I have to be want to do stuff like that because, like I said, I shared that before in a video. After my late husband passed away, I was, you know, I was doing stuff that I hadn't did in years. Like I got braids and hadn't had braids since probably before we got married, or when our first part of our marriage, when we first got married. And I quit doing that, you know. But I noticed I picked up a lot of stuff that, that I used to do, you know, I once did. And that's not good because, you know, sometimes that's the way, you're going backwards. But the girls were telling me, you know, I remember I posted a picture on Facebook and you know, just looking for man's approval, and then everybody said, "Oh, I love your hair," you know, because I think what I was doing too, it was like what I'm trying to say, it was like that was my way of saying I'm moving on, you know, I'm still living, you know, but even though I was trying to relive stuff in the past, but I'm you know, I'm not gonna stop, I'm still gonna live, you know. I think that's what I was trying. That was the message in the braids. But as I look back on them pictures now, you know, I guess I look okay or whatever. But you know, this is me. How my hair is. This is me all the way. You know. And I was watching a video of a young lady. She's way younger than me, but like she probably in her 20s or 30s. But she said she felt like the true. I'm trying to think how she said it. She said, because I said that is she was on point with that. She said when you are able to fully accept how you look and your hair, that goes for your hair, your face, whatever, what used to have you bound, I'm gonna do a video about that too. Things that you have a complex about, like I don't like it, I don't like my weight, I don't like my hair, I don't like my whatever. And I've been through all of that and still dealing with some stuff. But when she said, when you can fully grasp and fully accept and walk into the true beauty of how God made you, she said that's strength. And she said that's growth. That's the sign of growth. That means you that's success. That's, I forget how she exactly said it, but she was basically saying that that's a sign of you walking into your purpose, walking into who God made you to be. All this weave and nails, and I don't think it's nothing wrong getting your toes done, but men or women. But I'm talking about that nail stuff and I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Gotta get weed. I gotta get braids. I gotta get, I gotta get this, gotta get that. I gotta wear all this makeup. None of that. That's not you. Were you born? You were not born with none of that. Were you born with all of that? No, you were not. And it's just, I think, initially that came into existence from enhancing your beauty. But it's people now, they can't do without it. They can't do without it. That's their identity. It's their identity. You accept who God made you, how he made you look. If we all look the same, what a boring world this will be. Imagine that. Everybody look like me. Everybody look like you. It'll be a boring world. We need that diversity. We need them different looks and stuff. And I think about when children, when we were in high school and stuff, how children, they make fun of each other and stuff. But it's, when you think about it, it's sort of, it's crazy when you think about it, because they making fun of somebody because they different. Ha ha ha! Look at him. Look at his ears. Look at his nose. He got a big nose. He got big ears. He got big feet. Look at his clothes. They're making fun, but that's who that person is. That's who that person is. And so and I was guilty of it. We all were when we were young. We made fun of people. They called it, in my day, they called it jugging. You making fun of somebody. I remember this one guy. He sit in the back of the bus, y'all. He sit in the back of the bus, and he'd be the first one on the bus, and then he'd be the last one to get off the bus. Cause his stop, where he lived, he was the first stop, and then he was he was always, cause when the bus picked me up, he had it was just maybe 2 more stops for the bus picked me up. But anyway, I remember that he was the very first stop, because that's where the bus stop started. And then of course he was always the first one on there and the last one off. And he sat in the back of the bus and making fun of everybody, because he was on there. He was on that bus the whole time. He was on there the whole time. So he knew when they get on that bus, he's seen everything. That's what I'm trying to say. He saw everything. He saw everybody getting on the bus, and he saw everybody getting off. And he sat in the back of that bus, just jugging at people, making fun of people. Trying to make sure y'all ain't in no reserve thing. Can't tell. I don't think I am. Cause they yelled the reserve. They yelling. Okay. But yeah, he sat on that bus just making fun of everybody. And to be honest, y'all, he wasn't easy on the ass himself, but it didn't matter. He had that rank sort of, he thought he did, where he could just make fun of other people. And that made him feel better. My point is, that made him feel better about himself by doing that. But basically bringing somebody else down to lift himself up. Yeah. And I remember it was some children, they hated, and I was one of them too. I hated, he'd be in the very back, y'all. And I would hate, he make fun of everybody. He made fun of everybody. But there was some things going on with him. I'm pretty sure. That's why he did that. That was his way of dealing. That was his way of dealing with, you know, what he was dealing with. Could have been something in the home, or how he didn't like the way he looked, or so he had to, you know, inflict that whatever doubt or whatever in somebody else to get it off of himself. So y'all, that's what I'm saying, you know. And then some adults still do that. Now this is good. That's exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted. I drank all of it. I'm glad I didn't get large. This was medium. I'm glad I got medium instead of large, because I don't think I would have drank all of that large. So I made it home, y'all. I'm gonna get in here and finish washing, do my little Instacart, and I don't know what. Let's see what time. I don't know what time it is. It's let's see if it's gonna tell me what time it is. Nope, it's not gonna tell me. Oh, there it is. So it's 3. Look like it's 3:04. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a live today or not, because I'm sort of tired, y'all. I need to get this on my back so I can feel this heat on my back a little bit. So I gotta get in shape for the morning. I'm gonna go to work early tomorrow, a little earlier than I normally do. So anyway, I'm gonna get off of here and I'm gonna get me something to eat and rest. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a live today or not. It's Mother's Day. I think I need the rest this Sunday. So thank you all for riding with me today on Sunday, on Mother's Day. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers. We are all beautiful because God created us all. In Jesus' name. And talk to you all soon. I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed evening.